Disclaimer, this video contains a conversation about racism in America. Viewer discretion is advised. In a few minutes, I'll be off to my day job on the business side of the music industry. Every day, my goal is to do my job effectively and without compromising my morals. Yet, I am well aware that the industry that employs me has a history of building wealth without properly compensating those who built the wealth for them. There's only so much I can do to personally switch up the culture, but I do what I can to 1, influence and encourage my colleagues to do great work, and 2, keep it real with up-and-comers to help them avoid the pitfalls of this industry. I'm a trustworthy person working in a historically untrustworthy industry, so I respect and empathize with police officers who I know are hard-working model citizens who do their jobs to the best of their ability and just want to get home to their families. But I cannot deny that I have absolutely no faith in the justice system. I don't take this stance lightly. I'd love to be in a place where this wasn't the case, but it exists based on my personal experiences, the experiences of my family members and friends, and the experiences of people of color all over this country. With every instance where an officer oversteps their boundaries and keeps their job, with every person of color wrongfully arrested, charged, convicted because they fit the description, and with every person that's harassed, assaulted, or murdered for non-compliance by an officer who sees no consequence, and we're expected to forgive quick and forget quicker. This system has shown us time and time again that it has no regard for Black lives. Philando Castile, pulled over for a busted taillight, wrongfully gunned down in front of his family on camera. Yet the officer who murdered him is acquitted of all charges. The $3 million settlement paid to his mother does not bring her son back, doesn't remove the pain his family and friends are dealing with, and it especially doesn't remove the trauma inflicted on his 4-year-old stepdaughter, who witnessed the murder from mere inches away. What good is the push for all police officers to have body cameras when they get caught on camera doing wrong and still walk away without consequence? James Baldwin once said, to be Black and conscious in America is to be in a constant state of rage. Fueled by every police killing and subsequent acquittal, it is this rage that keeps us in a place where we can't trust the US justice system. A system built in a time where people like me were considered 3/5 human. A system that abolished slavery but included a loophole that essentially guaranteed the further enslavement of Blacks. A system that, according to an FBI study, is rife with white supremacists. There is more documentation out there on the past, present, and future effects of systemic racism, from films and documentaries to books and articles, than could ever be consumed. But the masses choose to ignore it because status quo. I could talk about redlining laws that prevented Black people from buying homes in certain neighborhoods, or how resumes with Black-sounding names are 50% less likely to get called for an interview. I could talk about how the prison industrial complex is just slavery rebranded, and the war on drugs is a huge part of it, or how the school-to-prison pipeline is based on property taxes and standardized tests that predict how many jails need to be built. I could talk about how society's irrational fear of Black people stems from post-slavery propaganda that can still be witnessed today, or how news media continues this propaganda by vilifying Black victims while sympathizing with white suspects. I could talk about these things and more until I'm blue in the face, but it's useless if the people that really need to hear it refuse to. I get it. It's human nature to fear the unknown. It's human nature to fear change. I do my best to see both sides of the story, because at the end of the day, we all bleed the same blood, and we can progress further and faster when we unite. But it gets harder and harder when most of the blood spilt without consequence comes from people who look like me, and the world pretends that it doesn't exist. That being said, I would love to live in a world where I could fully trust law enforcement. But until we recognize the problem, until this country atones for its sins, we will never be the United States. Will this happen in my lifetime? Probably not. But I'd rather do what I can and work hard to progress halfway than sit idly by and watch this country fall back into Jim Crow. There are good cops out there, and I see you. I just ask that you see me too. When